The Saint Chamond. The successful French attempt at making a tank worse than the mobile crematorium, and the bar was already deep underground. Hello and welcome to another episode of Tank Talks, and let's dive right into the context. The mobile crematorium, or Schneider CA, had been originally designed in early 1916, and the French army, spearheaded by Etienne, the father of French tanks, ordered 400 of them in February, if you recall from the previous episode. However, French being French, this caused some immediate problems. Jealousy, politics, pride, and greed were the real fathers of the Saint Chamond. French General Léon Moret, who was in charge of the Department for Military Armament, was furious about the Schneider CA being outside of his purview. This meant that he had no control over the budget, the potential kickbacks, production, or his portion of the glory. General Moret used his immense political influence to order FAMH, the massive state-run industrial giant, to produce their own version of the Schneider tanks. However, FAMH and its engineers were bitter rivals of the civilian giant Schneider. This led to the Schneider and Eugene Brill, the designer of the Schneider CA, to flatly refuse to hand over the patents and blueprints for free. And, you guessed it, the FAMH was not going to pay them a dime. Left with no other choice, the FAMH used the general requirements of the Schneider CA alongside the limited information they had available about it to design their own kitbox. Engineers at FAMH had decided that they will outdo Schneider and humiliate them. The basis of the Saint Chamond was the Holt tractor and its main gun. The 75mm field gun, intended as a fuck you to Schneider, became the pride and bane of this tank. Designing the tank around the 75mm field gun, they made the tank have a large overhang on the front, as well as the back for balance. To add to this, it was a hybrid. Its petrol engine would power the electrical generator, which generated power for the electrical engines. Complicated and rather unreliable on top of that. It was armed with 4 machine guns, 1 per side, and it had 8 or 9 crew members, which were miserable in the dark and suffocating inside of the tank. The design was started and completed in 1916, entering into production that same year. It first saw combat mere days after the Schneider CA at the Battle of La Fao-Mille. Alongside the Schneider CA, 22 Saint Chamond tanks were sent alongside a similar number of Schneider tanks. However, 6 whole Schneider tanks broke down. The attack was carried out by 16 of them and the Schneiders, and this glorious unified tank force got stuck in craters and trenches, with only one single Saint Chamond tank managing to support the infantry till the end. Luckily, only 3 were lost due to the German artillery being unable to capitalize on their misfortune. This tank's frontline performance was not the best, even after numerous fixes, as it was simply too long, leaving it stuck in ditches and trenches, and despite making the tracks wider a few times, it barely helped. The Saint Chamond found itself more and more in a backroll, using its gun from a distance. However, in the 100-day offensive, a few Saint Chamond tanks on different occasions rammed the German bunkers, terrifying the poor Germans inside, as it had next to no gun depression when it came up to support the infantry. In the end, it was the least used French tank, and it was the first to be retired. In fact, it was so bad that the tank-starved Germans deemed it too terrible to use, even if they had captured a perfectly intact one. No other country would use them, and one of the 2 gifted to the US was used to store bootleg liquor during the Prohibition. Only one survives today in Musée des Blindes in Saumur, in France. That would be all. If you had enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Bozdra!